Hello, my horror-loving dudes. I'm KillJoy Jake, and today we're going to be doing a review of Renfield from director Chris McKay. No, not the director of Step Brothers, that's Adam McKay. Trust me, I have made that mistake before. Now let's get into it!
Well, sometimes that is better.
Getting right into a non-spoiler review, though, if you guys want to jump ahead to the spoilers, they're there. I don't really care. Watch whatever part of the video you want. All right, non-spoilers, let's get into it. I really liked Renfield. This was a blast. It was a really fun horror comedy. I'm typically pretty tough on these, too. Horror and action adjacent, this is mostly a comedy at its heart, but overall, it's very effectively funny, even though it's got some plot holes here and there. The entire ensemble has some very funny character moments, some great lines of dialogue, and also some well-executed art. Awkwafina, Ben Schwartz, and of course, Nicolas Cage were huge standouts in this film, being super hilarious the entire time. I know this is the non-spoiler section of the video, but Ben Schwartz has this scene where he shits his pants, and I don't know, it was just really unexpected and really funny. Something I will put in my non-spoiler review, relating to spoilers though, is if you've seen any of the trailers for this movie, you've pretty much had 50% of the movie spoiled for you, which is like, come on, y'all. I love Universal and I love the direction they've taken with movies like Renfield or Leigh Whannell's Invisible Man, but I will say a lot of the trailers that come from them, or like Blumhouse, one of the subsidiaries that they own, they spoil a lot in their trailers. I think back to like The Black Phone, which spoiled every single jump scare in that movie, which would have been really effective if I hadn't already seen it before every single movie I went to go see that year. The film pays homage to the original Dracula really well. There's something at the beginning, which you've probably already seen in trailers, that I think is really wonderful. It's not something they necessarily had to do, but I appreciate it. It's coming from the same company that put that film out all the way back when. Even though this movie is tonally different from the original Dracula, obviously, they still find ways to pay homage to that and show where they came from. The kills were great all around as well. Like I've said, you've seen most of them already in the trailers, which is a bit of a letdown, but some of them you haven't. One in particular that was not featured in the trailers was actually a big standout of the film. I appreciate that, Universal. Overall though, Renfield is a bloody good time. Go see it this weekend. You will have a good time with it. All right, we're getting into spoiler territory now, so unless you want me to start poking people's eyes out with your severed arms, then you might want to leave. That was a little aggressive, but don't get this movie spoiled. Don't get any movie spoiled for that instance. Come on, see movies, people. Renfield was directed by Chris McKay. Chris McKay is fresh off of directing The Tomorrow War from 2021, which I enjoyed. It was a pretty fun movie. And the story comes from Robert Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead. Nicolas Cage, of course, gives an excellent performance here. What were you expecting? This is the guy from Mandy, the guy from Ghost Rider. It's super over the top. It's just the right levels of Cage. His character also showcases some gorgeous practical effects because he gets like hit with a big ray of light right at the beginning of the movie, and then he's just kind of down for the count throughout the first half of this bad boy. It was really gorgeous, transformative makeup that I loved. The best example of that I can think of is David Cronenberg's The Fly, when you're watching Jeff Goldblum's character turn from this really healthy looking young man into what is essentially a half fly human hybrid. He's just a pile of meat. I love saying pile of meat. I will never get sick of it. Nicholas Hoult is an excellent lead in this movie. I love him in so many different movies. If it's The Menu, Warm Bodies, he's great. We've now seen Nicholas Hoult play a zombie in a horror comedy. We've seen him play a vampire in Renfield. Now we just need American Werewolf in London remake where he turns into a fucking werewolf. And then the trifecta is complete. I will not rest until Nicholas Hoult turns into a werewolf. Awkwafina was really funny in this movie as well. I think she's super underrated. I see a lot of hate go her way most times, and I think that's really unfortunate. She's super funny, big standout in this movie. I loved her in Jumanji. Ben Schwartz is also hilarious in this movie. I'm a huge fan of his from Parks and Rec, and he's once again amazing here. Hilarious character actor that really needs to be in more comedies like this. This movie was surprisingly really gross too. Like Nicholas Holt's character just has to eat a bunch of bugs to get his powers, which I thought was really cool. The trailer misdirected me a little bit here because I almost thought these were like magic bugs that like Dracula was giving him or something, and like he was eating them. No, they're just like just any bug. Like a fly comes into the room at one point and he just snatches it and eats it, and then he has powers. It's like, what? Okay. Continuing this gross rant, the kills are excellent, like way too good for a silly horror comedy like this. As I teased earlier, and no, I did not spoil it for those who are watching this, who haven't seen it yet. I'm looking at you. I can see it through the damn YouTube video. Yeah, I can. The best kill in the whole movie is when Nicholas Hoult punches Ben Schwartz's character so hard that it not only breaks his back, but it empties his colon. Oh yes, this man forgot to poop before he started fighting because he lets out more diarrhea than blood. Dude was keeping that butthole tight. But while this movie is a very effective horror comedy, I do have a few criticisms just here and there. Getting into a few of those, Ben Schwartz's character gets stabbed in the neck with a fork early on in the movie, and then they kind of just forget about that later on. Like, it's completely forgotten about. He's magically healed, and it wasn't due to any Dracula blood. I can promise you that. Kind of a weird inconsistency in a movie that does feel very consistent at other points. This is just a pet peeve of mine, but I'm not huge on when characters do like the record scratch, "You're probably wondering how I got here" thing, and it's done in voiceovers here in this movie too. It's been done to death. I'm just not a big fan of it personally. They don't overdo it, thankfully, but when it does happen and Nicholas Hoult starts talking about his life and how he got here and all that, it's just a bit much. I think they could have done a better transition, but I still appreciate it. Like I said, I love the Dracula reference right at the beginning of the film. That was very nice. The biggest plot hole of the movie, though, is that Awkwafina's character is wanted by the cops at one point. She's a cop herself, but she goes rogue, and they kind of completely forget about that. Like, right as it happens, and I'm kind of shocked. There's a very easy fix here that I feel like they would have found with one more revision of the script. Renfield's character rents out a studio apartment at one point in the movie, and he starts like painting it all these super vibrant colors. He puts up motivational posters. It's great. It's super funny. But after the confrontation with the cops, Nicholas Hoult's character takes Awkwafina back to his apartment where they could easily find him and trace her cell phone. An easy fix there would have been just to have Renfield fix up like another old and abandoned hospital. Like, that actually would have been really funny to do a double beat there, or just an abandoned place in general, so that they could have taken her there and then like broken the cell phone. That would have made the plot work so much better. It would have fixed it, and you still would have had an awesome fight scene there. Because remember, the satellite thing was introduced earlier on in the film, so the cops could have worked with the bad guys, found where they were due to satellite images and all that BS, and then there you go. You can still have the fight scene there instead of that really cool apartment complex. In all fairness, the apartment complex fight was pretty damn cool. Nicholas Hoult just jumping from one floor to the other, ripping that guy's arms off. It was pretty sweet, but you could have done that in like a broken down house. Think Fight Club. That would have been pretty cool. There were some predictable moments towards the end of the film, but overall, there were a lot of things that caught me by surprise that I really liked. Our main characters just beating the ever-loving shit out of Dracula for your ending fight is absolutely hilarious to me. I thought that was really well done. I knew the whole circle thing was gonna come back, but how it came back, I thought was really special. But overall, I think performances across the board were spot on, and that was the most important thing here with the horror comedy. It had to be funny. Obviously, the horror isn't used as something to terrify you. It's more of a style choice here, and that's done really well. But if you don't have anything scary in a movie like this and it's not funny, it would have fallen flat. So even though, yes, there were some plot holes here and there, it still works for me because it was a fun time. It was a very hilarious ride, and I had a blast with it. I definitely want to revisit this one at some point in the future. I'm gonna give Renfield a 7.5 out of 10. It was a blast. It did some really funny things, but like I said, I have my criticisms here and there. One more revision of the script, and I think this would have been a perfect horror comedy. But overall, I had a blast with it. I absolutely recommend going to see this bad boy this weekend. It'll be really fun with a couple of beers in you, I'll be honest. What did you all think about Renfield, though? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching this brand new review video of Renfield. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror reviews in the future. Please consider supporting me on Patreon if you want to see this channel grow even bigger. Thank you all so much for watching again, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.